Hi, folks. So I probably have about 8 talks that I've already done that I still need to upload. This will be number ninth, and I only upload one every 2 days um, because I just feel that one every day for my subscribers might be a bit too much. Don't know if that makes sense, but I like to kind of space them apart. But it doesn't help that I only upload, and sometimes I don't upload it once every 2 days. There can be a break in between. I don't have internet access. I just don't have the time and the focus or the energy, not the time, and more just so that space to focus on a recording, to do a little bit of editing, some touch ups here and there, and to post it. So it just feels a bit frustrating because I really want to get those other ones out there, but it's going to take some time, and I don't know, maybe you're going to have to probably delete some of them before they get uploaded because, again, some are maybe more, I don't know, better expressed than others. There's just something or other. There's a different nature to every talk, and it's just about feeling it through and feeling what it's about, and the importance and significance of that particular talk, and whereby something that may not be as relevant or or in depth or substantial or something like that. Anyways, I might even just cut out this introduction. Get straight to the point here, my man. Anyway, so yeah, like one of the things I do on my channel is I talk about people in my life. All right, and I'm aware that the people in my life know about my channel, and yet I talk about them, and it so far hasn't come back to bite me. Like sometimes I'll mix things up a bit. If I'm talking about my mother, I'll talk about my aunt. If I'm talking about my aunt, I'll talk about sister-in-law or something like that. So it's not hard. It's not easy to pin the person down, but it's, I don't know. I think the people that know about my channel are actually a bit afraid to listen to it. I don't know. There's something about it. It's something about truth, folks, and that's what I think that I'm talking about or experiencing or sharing is truth. And I know it makes people very uncomfortable, and this is what this recording is about. It's about, let's say, my friend, okay, a guy who I was like best friends with growing up a very long time, and then we parted ways. He went overseas, and we lost touch, I would say, and whatever it is. And so we kind of have connected again in the last few months, and we chat, really just do these audio recordings to one another and email them through back and forth. Maybe I do one once a week, he does a reply, so it's whatever. And recently we've started talking a lot about the past, a lot about the memories that we shared and reminiscing. And for myself, it's not something that I enjoy necessarily doing. Okay, I mean, unless there's purpose and meaning for it, I don't just like it for the sake of talking about it, right? I mean, unless there's something value to it. Otherwise, it's just like in the past. It's just hasn't got any meaning really, or I mean, it has got meaning, but it's redundant, or it's not necessary, and it's just, I don't know, for shits and giggles, type of thing. And I don't know, I get frustrated with that kind of talk, I suppose, at times. So, but anyways, I've been indulging and going back into it, and out of interest, just to see how good my memory is, and and I've realized how poor it is sometimes, or just maybe, it's things I don't necessarily need to remember. They're not important, and so then I don't consider them important. But so that was been interesting about it. But for myself, like one of the things that I had found talking with my friend back and forth, like this was just going on too much now. I mean, it was, recording after recording, and it was, mine was 15 minutes long, he was 20 minutes long, and, I'm like, okay, so where are we going with this? Like, what's to be learned? What's to be taken, right? What's to be valued? What's to be learned from this? What's this showing? What's this telling us? What's the information here? It's not just, I don't know, like headline news or something. I mean, that's can be a bit relevant, but you know what I'm saying. And so I got a bit frustrated, and I did a recording to him and saying, man, like, it's great to talk about these memories, but at the same time, I wanted to address the fact that it wasn't all hunky-dory. It wasn't all, yeah, so we partied, we drank, we womanized, we chased after the woman, we told dirty jokes, we had the bachelors, we snuck into the clubs, we hitchhiked over here, we did, and all these kind of things, and it was cool. And remember when, what's his name, ran naked through the passageway at this hotel, and remember when, he was so drunk, that guy, that he drove home to, his parents-in-law's house instead of his own house, things like, chuckling, and whatever. And I was also saying at the same time, but you know what, we were so misdirected, right? I might have spoken about this. We were just, even our friends, they weren't really good friends. It was all, I think I've spoken about this. And, I was talking about that. Where was the good behavior? Where was the lessons? Where was the integrity? Where was the honest, whatever it was? Where was the growth? It was just meaningless distraction and party. So I was speaking about this. So he replies and he's like, now all of a sudden, he's just not impressed. He's like, I don't know why you got to make a big deal of it. Not everything has to have meaning in life. Not everything has to be deep in life. We were kids, we were youngsters, we were teenagers. We weren't even teenagers, we were mid-20s. And that's life, before you settle down and take the plunge into marriage and, your serious job. And, and that's it. We were lighties and we, whatever. And so, I could feel he was uncomfortable with me talking about that stuff. He was, uncomfortable about the fact that I was talking about, like, he had a better relationship with his parents than I had with mine. He was uncomfortable with me talking about that our brothers didn't give us any direction in life, right? That we were very wayward, that our parents also, to some degree, didn't really care about us, right? They didn't give us direction, right? That, the religion was pumped down our throats and did nothing for me but mess me up in many, many ways. And how false it all was. And how it wasn't, you can't say that we had a good time just because of those drunken moments and when we did come right with a lady at a nightclub or something like that. That can't be the bloody highlight. Or that time when that woman got so drunk and we had to, let her out the car to vomit, and when she was vomiting, she was, let one rip, and it was all, chuckling for about a week on that, and, that kind of stuff. It's like, if you look at Friends, the series Friends, and just the garbage. Even the relationship between them, which is so superficial, which is just so codependent, which is just so cultish in a way, and how they're just so obsessed with each other, they don't make any other friends really. I don't know, there's so much to be said. Little groups, group-mindedness, that you had from kindergarten to even, with certain people, and, even for myself, the boys, from high school, and they're still all mates and whatever it is, and I was like, God, do me a favor. Anyway, so he was feeling like, why does there have to be meaning? Why do, if we look at life and there's no one's got any answers, so why even bother? Just carry on. And also he found it depressing that what I was talking about from our past and how it wasn't all, fantastic and so much memorable and, and worth even talking about. And he was very disappointed because it was like, for him, the highlight of his life. It's what he holds on to now, because all of that's gone. He's married and he's got the job and he's got the kids and he's got the schedule and he's, in part of the rat race and, not a free agent and, So all of these stories, folks. But so in my reply to him, I wasn't sure what to reply because I realized that we just weren't on the same page, and whatever I have to say is not going to really matter or or he's going to care about or going to mean anything. All he just really wants to talk about is the good old days. Anyway, so again, he was saying that it was a bit depressive, and he wants to be depressed, and yes, he wants, whatever, I have this thing about alcohol that I go on to him about, and he says there's nothing really wrong with alcohol, maybe we're a little bit too dependent on it, but it helps us, take the edge off, and, and so he obviously sees a world it's in a very much more, I don't know if it's realistic, but a positive light in a way. He's cherry-picked things, obviously, to suit himself in his distorted life in order to make it seem a lot more glamorous, even from the past, a lot more glamorous than it was. And, and I'm saying, you're talking about me looking for meaning and whatever about the past not being so glamorous. and that's depressing to you. But I look at your life, man, and I think that you are very, very depressed. I think your life, in what you talk about, the fact that you feel that there's very little meaning in life, the fact that you just feel that the highlight of your life was how many women you took to bed, whatever it is, and those kind of stories, that was the highlight. I mean, these are stories you can't even tell your children. Like, what stories can you tell your children today? And he even said to me, as well, he sort of mumbled, he said that I know that I'm passing on my own sort of pathologies that I received from my parents onto my children, and he seemed to be fine with that. I said to and I was thinking to myself, how is that okay? How do you find... Anyway, so I find his life to be depressing, and to say that there's no meaning, and to say that these are the highlights of life, that's what you take from it. It's just, that's appalling. That really, really is. What was I saying? But he was also what was I saying? I don't know, I'm saying a lot. Because I realize the distance between myself and this friend of mine, this long-term friend, and also it's frustrating because he's the only person that I'm in contact with from my past that I grew up with, that I shared something with. And to be honest, now we're like two ships in the night, and passing each other by and whatever it is, and it's just upsetting to see how despairing his life is, and how nihilistic it really is, and how lack of meaning and it's just like, so what are you doing? And I've spoken about this before, what are you doing with your life? Why are you living? So because we're told to live, right? I mean, or something like that. Why do you do it? Because this is what we're supposed to do. And just grin and bear it, whether we like it or not like it, this is life. And I'm like, geez, man, that is so depressing, that is so despairing. But yet, so for myself, I had a moment of maybe I am too deep. Maybe I do read into stuff, too much, whatever it is. My curiosity, making a big deal of things, and a little bit of self-doubt crept in. And self-doubt does creep in for I would say, the individual, for the truth seeker, or whatever it is, this, etc. For the authentic self. It's like you do, because you're in a world that's so plastic, and is so. Again, it is. The more that I delve into it, the more I realize how unconscious the world is. And sometimes I'll upload a talk and I feel, I'm being so negative in it. I'm really casting such a bad shadow, and I'm talking about such grim things and such troubled times, and maybe I'm just too negative. And then I feel that, that's a little bit of, but then I come across this friend of mine. I'm like, no, this is right. And I mean, this is true, that the world is unconscious, and it is in a grim and dark place. It is, and that's fine. It's that's just the way it is. At least it takes courage to sort of see that, not sort of, but it does take courage to see the truth for reality for what it is. And just because it's collective, the collective is so unconscious, doesn't make it that consciousness is the enemy. That's the problem here, folks, is that the unconscious folk find that consciousness is the real enemy. That's it for them, And so talking to my friend here, he's finding me to be the enemy. And so I felt almost like I was the enemy, and I do sometimes feel like I'm just a troublemaker. And then I try and take a spiritual approach, which is also fine to some degree, but it's all fine, as we're all one at the end of the day, we're all having our experiences, so be it. But that doesn't mean we're not in a lot of trouble. And yes, I have stated that this is the direction that the world would have taken inevitably, and it's probably just part of nature anyways, to a certain degree. But that doesn't mean that there isn't karma, that there isn't consequences, that there isn't broken-hearted. And yes, even broken-hearted is an experience, but the pain is real, and it is serious, and life is serious. Life is serious, and that's the thing, is that most people don't want to take life as seriously. They don't want to see that their life on Instagram is a serious problem. They don't want to see that they're thinking. They don't want to see it. They don't want to see that the most thing that they're serious about in life is their identity. Everything else, they're not serious about bringing up children, raising children in a healthy environment with healthy directions and unconditional. They're not serious, right? They're not serious about how they spend their time. They're not serious about making a home. They're not serious about their food. They're not serious about how they, who their friends are, who their relationships. They're not serious about anything except identity, And religion falls into that for some, which is also a lot to do with identity as well. Status, that's what people are serious about. And money happens to be that as well. But, and they're serious about escapism. And they're serious about being unconscious. They really are serious about it. And you can say, yes, well, it's because of the architects of control that have, and it's true, have disconnected them, have made them unconscious, and now that the last thing that they're wanting to seek is a real moment of true introspection or, consciousness, and it's not their fault. And that is a case to a certain degree, but everyone's got a fair chance. There's a sense of fair play. It's not that you can be just completely wrecked and ruined, that you can't actually try and be a person that believes in a higher power, spiritual power. That's what I mean, folks. You don't have to be a psychonaut. You don't have to be a shaman. You don't have to be a psychologist. You don't have to be whatever, a guru. You can be in the middle of West Africa in a mud hut where you're probably going to have more tradition and culture, whatever it is, but in spirituality there. But I'm just saying, somebody doesn't have books, somebody doesn't have internet, cannot read, is illiterate, and has been raised by very unfavorable conditions, parents that are alcoholics or something like that, father died, mother's been dealing with AIDS. But I think inherently in each individual, right, no matter how unconscious, right, is the possibility of understanding that there does exist a higher force, which is, cosmic mind, God, the universe, or something or other. I think that can be for every individual, no matter where you were raised, no matter what your situation and conditions are. And I'm saying to behave and within that manner that, that there is a higher power, but to sincerely believe it, not just believe it, but act as if you, as if that you, the commitment that you make. I think every individual can do that. Again, you don't have to be, good paying your taxes, which means nothing. You don't have to be a outstanding citizen, or you don't have to be, you all-rounder type of thing. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to take psychedelics. You don't have to do yogas. You don't have to have a healthy diet. I think it's as simple as that, folks. It's as simple, and it's not believing in like Jesus as your savior type of thing, and therefore you get out of jail free card for all your sins, and he died for your sins. So if you do a few Hail Marys, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about when there's a person to know sincerity, a type of sincerity about that they aren't the be all and end all of existence, that there's something much higher than them, that they're part of something that's much greater and grander, that has high expectations on them. I think every individual, has that's the fair play here. That's the fair play, right? So, for myself, if somebody, look, it gets a bit more complicated because, I don't know, anyway. Yeah, so folks, just ending off, I was just disappointed in this conversation and who my friend is and has become, and how despairing it actually seems, and how it made me really think about how many people have given up on their lives. Right? How many people have given up on their lives? And maybe they're unconscious of it. But in a way they are conscious, in a way that they do know that. They do know, right, that they've given up on their lives, that they've thrown in the towel, and now they're just doing things by rote. Right? Because I'm telling you, I think of so many people just given up on their lives. Or given up on their life, also in a way to subscribe to something that is just so mundane. So sort of somewhat comfortable, so familiar, right? They've gotten the job that they were expected to do, married the woman they was expected to marry, have as many children, just given the plan of, the cultural plan, the cultural narrative, but chosen such. It's like you could be, you go for a job interview and you choose to be the janitor, but although you could probably run the company or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with the janitor, but you don't challenge yourself. You settle for the minimalist occupation in life, and that's it, and you just eke out your existence. Anyways, folks, so that's what it is, and it's just so meaning, and truth, and integrity, and virtue and love and poetry and imagination, and self-sacrifice and heartfulness and whatever it might be. These things really, really count. These things are our bread and butter. They're the very fiber of our beings. And obviously we know that. But most people are absolutely petrified of this, which just blows my mind so often over the time. I think I did a talk on this a while ago, that we'd rather be sinners than saints. Yeah, probably years ago I did that video and I can't even record it, but I think we're more comfortable with being the sin than we are with the saint, and that's just the way it is, folks. So it's sad to see that in certain people's lives, people that I know in my life, but it is what it is, and it's in my own life. I can feel proud of myself, and I don't have to feel so much shame as I used to do when I used to be a pathetic drunk and pissing in a nightclub or something like that because he's just so drunk, and whatever it was. I don't have to feel so much shame about myself. I can feel better about myself, and that's my message, is that for all of ourselves who are doing this work, we don't think about it very often, but we can definitely feel better about ourselves. And we allow ourselves to appreciate. We really should feel much better about ourselves than we do realize, even though the world doesn't make us feel very good about ourselves and doesn't reflect our goodness as well. All right, folks, thank you for taking the time. We will chat soon. Be well.